So this morning, my mom texted me and she said, Nicole, I have a friend, her son is just starting to get into Pokemon and she wants to know what's worth it. What cards should they keep? What should they save? What's going on? Do you have anything that can help with this? Because I make Pokemon content over on Instagram, mostly Pokemon Go. I dabble in a little card opening here and there, but I realized I didn't have any content that kind of just explained card rarity or what you would want to look for in cards. So I was like, you know what, Mom? That's a great video idea. Let me go ahead and make that video. I thought maybe this would be helpful. I'm sure there's other people out there who have done videos like this, but this one's mine. So let's get into it. So the most common cards that you're gonna see are common and then what are called uncommon cards. So both common and uncommon cards can look like this. All right, so there's nothing shiny, nothing reflective on here. If it is common, it'll have a little circle down there at the bottom to let you know that it's common. And if it's considered an uncommon card, it will have a little diamond on the bottom of it like that. You can also find these cards in a reverse holo. So right here, we have the common, you can see with the circle there. And you can see the entire kind of outside of the card has that reflective material on it where the inside picture of the card does not. That's a reverse holo. Same thing with our uncommon cards with our little diamond down there. All of your commons and uncommons, depending on the card, depending on if it's playable in the TCG game, all right, those are normally going to be your cheapest cards. But again, if you like the artwork, it doesn't matter how much a card is worth. Put it in a binder, put it in a card saver, do whatever you want with it. But generally speaking, common and uncommon cards are going to be your cheapest cards value-wise, if you care about that. Also, your reverse holos may look different depending on the set, the era. That kind of goes with all of these, but it's the same concept where you see the whole card is shiny except for that picture. Still a reverse holo. Some of the newer sets, it might have, some type of something written there. Pretty sure that's still just considered a reverse holo. Next rarity is just rare. And these might look different. For example, this is from White Flare. This is your rare. We call it a holo as well. And this one is from Perfect Order. So these are both the rares. They're both holos. All right, but they look a little bit different. But it's the same concept where this picture on the inside, all right, is actually holographic, where the rest of the card is not. The edges are also holographic, but unlike our reverse holos, all right, this inside part is not shiny. After that, we have a double rare. Now, a double rare is going to be all of your EXs, all right? And you know it's a double rare because it has 2 stars on the bottom, where our normal rares, all right, they just had that 1 star. A double rare has 2, and that's just gonna be pretty much all of your EXs. Again, these could range from a few cents to a few dollars, depending on the card, depending on is it playable, things like that. But again, these are generally your lower end, lower cost cards that people tend to call bulk, that people don't care about. Next, we have cards that are considered ultra rare cards. Don't ask me to say that 10 times fast because I can't. And you know that it's an ultra rare because it has 2 stars down here on the bottom, but these 2 stars are kind of like silver. They're silver in color and they're reflective. All right, we also call this a full art. This is where sometimes these cards can start gaining more traction, getting more money. Generally, if the Pokemon takes up the whole card, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive than just one of our normal guys here. Really nothing crazy, no crazy prices I can think of off the top of my head. This is different from a couple of the cards that we'll look at later that are more rare. And I'll go ahead and tell you that you always know you have a full art if there's the Pokemon and then the background is just kind of cool. There's not a full art scene going on back here. It has a background, it's nice, it looks really cool. All right, this is a full art. This is another example of a full art card. This one's from a different set, but you can see kind of the same thing. We have the Pokémon. It takes up the full frame of the card, but again, that background is not very detailed. It just has the colors. Now we have where everyone starts to get excited. The next kind of card you have is an illustration rare. So an illustration rare looks like this. They're so stinking cute, especially these two that were just sitting here within my reach. You know it's an illustration rare when it just has one gold star at the bottom. That's an illustration rare. Now, this is where money starts to kind of come into play if you care about the value of a card. Unlike in our full arts that didn't really have a background, right? They have a whole cutie little thing going on here. Swadloon has a whole background. You could tell she's in the forest. She's doing stuff. All right, we got our cutie little Purloin over here, right? She's sitting on the bed. She's got yarn. She's got sentiment, right? So definitely more than our full arts. And like I said, this is where your money kind of starts to come into play. The value starts coming into play. Again, they could just be worth a couple dollars if it's not really popular and not something that people really care about. For example, my 151 War Turtle is worth $75. So this is really kind of where you're starting to get the bang for your buck. But where you're really going to get your bang for your buck is with those special illustration rares. These are some of the rarest cards in a set, some of the most sought after cards in a set. And my still unfinished Surging Sparks Master Set is here to help us out with that a little bit. Your special illustration rares within a set may look absolutely nothing alike, but again, that's why we're looking at these symbols. So for example, this Latias EX, it is a special illustration rare. So if you remember when we were looking at our illustration rares before, right, they were cute. They had surely more detail, right, than our full arts do, but our special illustration rares kind of really kick it up a notch. So you can see how beautiful this card is with Latias flying around. And you see kind of down here by where my nail is, they have 2 gold stars. Another special illustration rare, or SIR, from this set is this Pikachu, which again looks nothing like our Latias, but we can see down here at the bottom, we have those 2 gold stars letting us know this is in fact a special illustration rare. All right, and these are really, really where the bang for your buck is going to be. That Pikachu is worth about $350 right now. That Latias, I think, is sitting somewhere around $130, maybe $150, somewhere in the hundreds. But that's really where the rarity and really the beauty of these cards make them the big chases. Everybody wants them. Those are going to be worth the most. New to the Pokemon scene, we now have these things called Mega Attack Rares. All right, they started coming out in the new sets and they look super cool. Again, it kind of depends on how much these are worth, really just based on the Pokemon. From what I've seen, they can be worth $10, they could be worth $5. They have a special symbol now. They have 1 green star and 1 pink star. That's your Mega Attack Rare. The last kind of cards we're going to talk about are gold cards, hyper rare, things like that. In older sets, all right, they just have gold cards. So for example, I'll show you from my Surging Sparks Master set. Okay, so the older sets have gold cards that are like this. You can see the 3 gold stars at the bottom. I believe these are called secret rares. I honestly can't remember that one off the top of my head, and now there's honestly just way too many names for all of these cards. But same kind of deal, could be worth a lot, could not be. It really just depends on the card. In the newer sets, so for example, in Black Bolt and White Flare, this is a White Flare ETB book. So they're showing us the Reshiram, and then we also have the Victini up here. Those are considered black and white rares because for Black Bolt and White Flare. In these new mega sets, they have what are called hyper mega rares, which are these gold cards down here. Those are like the pinnacle of all things right now. Of course, if you're looking at vintage or other things and you're buying off eBay and whatever, those are going to be a lot more expensive. But I'm saying, like, if you're going to go to the store and you're going to open a pack right now, that would be your biggest hitter. There are a couple other kinds of cards. For example, we have, this is called an Ace Spec. They're just really cool. They're pink. I like the way that they look. A lot of people do use these in play, but I believe at the end of this year, you will no longer be able to play with them. There are also some cards that are super cool. Like this from Prismatic Evolutions is a Pokeball reverse holo, which is super cool. Again, they still consider this just a common card. In a black bolt and a white flare, they look like this. They also have Master Ball variations. Depending on the card and whether it's a Pokeball or a Master Ball, price could go crazy. You just never know. It just depends on the card that you have. I know that this can be a lot to remember, especially when you're excited opening packs, and especially just even within the rarities, card prices just vary so greatly. I use an app called Collector to track my cards. It tracks their price. It lets you know how much they cost. You could always go on TCG Player, which is online. And there are tons and tons of apps that are like Collector, where you can scan in your cards and just kind of see their value, see it go up, see it go down. But again, really at the end of the day, if you really care about this hobby, it's not about how much it's worth. It's not about how rare the card is. It's about the love of the game. It's about the love of the Pokemon. It's about the art. It can be about literally whatever you wanted it to be. But I hope that you found this video helpful. And if you did, please go ahead and drop a like. If you have something to say, you can leave a comment. Please be nice to me. This is my first kind of attempt at something like this. And yeah, thanks for watching.